Meanwhile, at Orca's headquarters, an undercover Firestar meets up with an imprisoned Cyclops.
Look at you, Cyclops. Actually, I guess introspection was never your thing, especially now.
Welcome back, traitor.
How do you know it's me? Your eyes are sealed shut, dumbass. You're making what's left of your life a living hell.
Her words were harsh, but her touch was gentle. One thing that Firestar and Cyclops had in common, they were both in the Scouts.
Listen, pig.
Using Morse code, Firestar apologized for not having freed him yet and implored him not to lose hope. Her goal had been to break him out today, but Juggernaut needed her more.
Yeah, you like that?
What Firestar didn't realize was that she was tapping Morse code on Cyclops' penis.
Ooh. Oh, it's getting firmer by the minute.
Cyclops tried not to enjoy it, but he did. A little smile crept across his face as Angelica tapped ... onto his hardened penis.
Oh, yeah, you like that? Right on the tip? Ooh, yeah. Yeah, right on the tip. Bunch of dots. Yeah. I'm telling you, I'm gonna free you soon. Don't worry about it. But yeah. Just take the deal, cunt.
Cyclops made it look good, too. Go to hell. You're a disgrace, Angelica. Just move it down to the base of the show.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, you're one of... Okay, you don't like it right up... Are you too... It's because you're circumcised.
Damn you, Firestar! You'll never make me come.
Yeah. Jean told me the same thing right before she died. Oh, shit, right in the eye. Oh, no, Juggernaut! I'm gonna go make him come, too. Hello and welcome to episode 279 of Comic Book Queers.
Hello.
CBQ Legacy. I'm Evil Jeff, your host, along with our other host, Brett.
Hi, sorry, I talked before you properly introduced me. Bad podcast etiquette.
That's okay.
But good podcast episode.
I will say there is the one cool thing about us recording in different cities.
One cool thing.
It's we can't hear, like, if you talk over me, I can just erase it and then you don't hear it on the other mic at all because we're not in the same room.
Oh my God, I just realized how much you need to do that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you put a lot of work in, honey. Yeah, we have separate audio tracks that Evil Jeff merges them together to simulate the conversation we are having right now. Now not being now for you, of course, listener.
And there was a small time where for some reason, even though we synced it all, Brett's recording would go out of sync, and so I would manually line everything up. Oh, that was fun. But you know what? We're a small mom and pop shop here at Comic Book Queers. Bringing it together for you guys.
We are a small but mighty production house. Yes. And welcome, everyone, to episode 279. We're going to talk about a lot of things today. We've got X-Men comics, we've got Hickman comics, and we've got television.
Oh, shit. Well, we also have some hot topics. So how about we hit that music? We got some hot topics. Yeah. Hot topics. What's the hot topic for today, Brett?
Hot topics. The Marvel Studios. Everybody's talking about Marvel Studios. They're dead. They're back. They're dead.
But you know what? No, everybody loves to see a Titan fall. They love it.
Everybody loves. As much as they love the rise, they love the fall that much more. And I mean, it was coming sooner or later.
And do you know what they love even more than the fall, watching a Titan fall? They love
a comeback.
The rising from the ashes. Because this isn't the end of Marvel.
Love the comeback.
It's a Phoenix story. They're going to fall apart, and then they're going to get it back together.
Strikes and gutters, waves. Yeah, I mean, they're learning, they're learning, they're already changing how they're doing TV. Let me tell you something, though. Variety magazine, they just published that big article, like the downfall of Marvel Studios. They are just like flooding the internets with content that is very anti-Marvel. Somebody at Variety has it in for Marvel because they keep publishing attack pieces.
Yeah. Well, it also could just be, I think they realize, like, oh, going after the big guy, it's going to get a lot of clicks, it's going to get a lot of views.
Oh, it'll get some eyeballs. It'll get the impressions.
Yeah.
People love to debate about Marvel.
Do you think this will lead to Kevin Feige being like a change of leadership?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, he will, like over his cold dead body. You know what I mean?
Well, I think in the end,
I don't think he's going to do that willingly.
Like fully up to him. Yeah, but that's what I'm wondering is like, because a lot of these decisions, especially with the TV, where it's like, oh, we don't need showrunners to make TV shows. Oh, these all suck. That's under his watch.
Yeah, it sure is.
Yeah. But it's also a weird thing where for some reason, when it's a white cis man, we're just like, hey,
just forgive him.
Give him a second chance. He's figuring some stuff out. But heaven forbid it's like a woman, and they're like, well, it turns out women aren't funny from this one incident, so let's fire them all.
I mean, they did. They fired the woman. They fired Victoria Alonso.
Yeah.
Like the three producers were Kevin Feige, Victoria Alonso, and Louis D'Esposito, and they fired the woman.
Yeah.
They said like she was doing some other independent film, which was a breach of contract. But give me a fucking break. People work on other projects all the time in the industry.
Also,
she was the fall person, and she, by the way, is a lesbian. They got rid of the woman and the queer.
Of course. Oh my God.
Fuck Disney. Ugh. Well, I can see them coming for. But who was going to replace Kevin Feige?
Joss Whedon. No, I'm just kidding. Can you imagine?
Joss Whedon.
Kathleen Kennedy.
The whole flaw in the whole thing was, how do we beat Endgame? I mean, it's just like, well, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It was all about how do we go bigger than Endgame? I know, we'll bring in Jessica Alba and Tobey Maguire and do the same thing all over again.
Jessica Alba?
Yeah, because they're going to bring in all the other Marvel movies. Like, it'll be Endgame, but it'll be every single Marvel movie ever. So Hugh Jackman and Tobey Maguire and Jessica Alba.
Oh, I think there's also this hubris.
Which is flawed.
But of them thinking...
Hubris.
I think it's the Guardians of the Galaxy fucked them. Because I think they got it in their head. We can take anything and make it a blockbuster hit. But the only reasons Guardians of the Galaxy was popular was because you also had Captain America, Iron Man. You can't have all Guardians of the Galaxies. It can't be all side, esoteric, not as popular characters and expect it all to hit. Like, people were like, no, I still need like the main fun thing. And they just like dropped it. And that's the other thing with the TV shows. They're spending... I found out She-Hulk $25 million an episode because of reshoots and doing everything.
Good Lord.
Do you know where some of that money could have gone to? Getting the main players. What if Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts was like a guest star? You know what I'm saying? Is like, get people from the actual Marvel movies to guest star in these things and people will watch it. It's kind of bonkers. And then for the biggest thing is they're like, oh, well, we kind of used up all of our main things in Marvel. We don't have anywhere else to go. The X-Men. Hello? Why are you deciding to wait 10 years to re-release the X-Men? Dummies.
Well, one thing I will say, and you and I didn't talk about this pre-pro, but they are opening up another universe, another corner of the MCU that Hawkeye kind of opened up with Echo. Did you see the trailer?
I did not see the trailer for the new Echo. Isn't that supposed to be like rated R too?
Like, shockingly so.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, I think they are definitely trying to recapture the spirit of the Netflix shows because it is very violent. It's definitely in rated R territory, but it focuses a lot on Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin. This is just as much Kingpin show, it feels like, from that trailer than it is Echo's. Mm-hmm. But also, I think they're really going to make Echo like a more in-depth, interesting character than we were able to see in Hawkeye. But this looks promising, and so already people are like, "Oh my God, Marvel, they're great."
Yeah. But at the same time, no one's tuning in because they're like, oh my God, I love the Echo comics. You know?
That's true. But they're tuning in honestly because it's Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin.
Yeah,
like that's the hook.
Yeah,
that's the hook.
But
hopefully they'll tell a great story about Echo the character while people.
But then bring fucking Typhoid Mary into it. Then like they need to just
maybe
step it up.
Maybe they will.
It's just
remember when they did. What was was it Daredevil season 3 that had Typhoid Mary?
I stopped watching. I didn't watch all of Daredevil. It got a little boring for me.
Girl, season 3 is Typhoid Mary.
Oh shit. Was that good?
Okay. Yeah, it was great.
All right. I don't know, but yeah, I feel like did you see the South Park, the latest South Park special?
No.
Entering the Panderverse.
No.
All right, you have to watch it. It opens with South Park. All the characters are just changed with like queer, like female characters of color. And I do feel the right is kind of like, haha, they're going against woke culture. And I do feel there's a bit of that, but I do feel they're kind of making fun of both sides of like how much the stupid fandom cares and how angry they get of like, who cares?
How angry they get over it. Yeah.
But basically, it ends up being that there's like a separate universe where all of South Park is people of color, like queer people of color, and that the Kathleen Kennedys got mixed up from the different universes. And one of the Kathleen Kennedys is basically Cartman in drag, and everything they're like. She's just like, well, Kathleen Kennedy, what should we do with this? Put a chick in it and make her gay, and that's like all she says. But then it gets to the point where they're like, do you like your coffee? No, put a chick in her and make it gay. And they're like, do you want me to make your coffee a chick and make her gay? And they're like, yeah, like it's hilarious. But I do think a lot of it was just talking about the idea of, it's not so much of, the right thinks like, we're going to make everything woke. It's not so much about woke, but more just people are running out of ideas. So they're like, hey, let's just retell and remake this old popular story and just put a woman in it without being like, let's actually hire good writers. Let's do something new. Let's do something innovative. Let's do something interesting. You're just going to
lazy storytelling in Hollywood.
Yeah, because the problem with like Little Mermaid was not that the Little Mermaid was made black. It was that why are you remaking a perfect cartoon? A cartoon that was already perfect the way it was. Why are you remaking it in the first place? Because they have no new ideas. It's sad.
Yeah, and it's just multiverse endgame that
and I
MCU
think
is going for, and that is the flaw the entire time. The whole thing is just not new. Nostalgia has a limit.
Well, I think nostalgia has ended, and I think here's the other problem: is now that the pandemic is the worst of the pandemic is kind of like in the background and everything's garbage now. I don't think people necessarily want nostalgia. I think younger kids are just like, hey, remember this thing from 2020? Little kids are like, I don't want to remember 2020. I think people now want something new and fresh and different.
I hope so.
So I'm hoping that they're all going to like kind of reset and X-Men. Remake better things. Yeah, just do the fucking X-Men.
Well, I think also, though, Echo represents Marvel moving away from a macro narrative, and not all of the stories. They have to set an expectation that like not every show and every movie is about the fucking Kang multiverse.
Yeah.
We can tell stories in our way that don't have to fit into the bigger picture. They just were hesitant to do that too.
And that's what DC is doing. DC, they've already said like, oh yeah, Robert Pattinson's Batman, that's its own thing. Joker, that's its own thing. They're not on the same universe.
Yeah, but they're still gonna have a in the sacred timeline Batman and Joker. Like Gunn is gonna still have his Batman.
Exactly.
And his Joker.
But that's the nice thing is now we can be like, this thing that's doing its fun stuff, it's its own little world. And I will say that is a problem that I find in the Marvel comics. Is that they don't open the idea that this Marvel comic, maybe it can just be in its own little world. And we're going to talk about that later. With that is kind of my flaw with a new one called G.O.D.S coming up.
Oh, okay.
I almost kind of wished it was its own thing. Anyway, but we'll talk about it later. What about Kang? Did they say anything about Kang?
What about Jonathan Majors?
Are they getting rid of Kang?
No, listen, evidently the Loki finale, spoiler, sets Kang up as like an even bigger deal.
Oh,
like
okay.
Evidently the end of Loki is putting a huge spotlight on like Kang is coming and it's Jonathan Majors.
Well, the end of Ant-Man showed that like it's all Jonathan Majors, right?
Yeah, I know. So this is what I want to talk about. So part of that Variety story is that, and who even knows how real this fucking story is, but it was that executives were thinking of kind of quickly pivoting away from Kang and toward Doctor Doom as a way to address and solve the Majors problem.
Yes. But you've already set up so much stuff with Kang.
Exactly. And here's my thing. The whole fucking thing about variants is like different actors can play the same character. Like you've got Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker, Tom Holland as Peter Parker. Like there's Loki's who it's Stephen E. Grant. It's a woman. Why is nobody saying just make a different actor Kang? And it's totally okay because variants.
Yeah.
Why are you pivoting to Doctor Doom? I don't get it.
Go into a different universe and find the Kang where it's a woman and she's gay.
Right. Right. Grab Panderverse Kang.
Yeah. It's, I don't know.
But like, what are we moving to a different villain for when the whole thing is like variants can look like anybody?
But I think
what is hard?
Yeah. But I will say this is the other thing. And I was talking about this a few weeks ago. And I follow this one girl who covers a lot of superhero stuff and comic stuff on TikTok. And I would give her a shout out.
Oh, she does.
I would give her a shout out, but I don't remember her name. So too bad. But I think she was talking about like the reason why the Marvels isn't getting a lot of pre-ticket sales. And people were like, yeah, nobody likes Marvel. Nobody likes these things anymore. And she's like, I think it's not that. I think there's also, with what's going on in society, people don't have the hunger for a superhero. Because now
our hearts and minds are not working the same right now.
But also I think right now we're seeing in a world where everybody's kind of a bad guy and the world is very gray and ugly and there's no solutions. And superheroes...
We don't believe in superheroes anymore.
Exactly. And superheroes is like, no, we're the good guy and you're the evil bad guy. And I think if you look at what's going on...
You're a bastard too.
Yeah, I think it's like if you're trying to like get on like even anything in politics, anything going on in the world, anything with the pandemic, all of these things, everybody's trying really hard to pivot. They want to make people like either the good guy or the bad guy, and it just doesn't really work anymore. And so I think the idea of a superhero that's good and everybody else is evil, I think people aren't buying it as much anymore. So it's a harder sell.
And oh my God, isn't that one of the underlying themes of Jonathan Hickman's G.O.D.S?
Yeah, which is why
Hickman sees it.
No, and I will talk about how I am so excited for this because this is one of the smartest things written in a long time, and we will talk about it soon. Because all those things I'm talking about, yes, Hickman is kind. I don't know who the good guy is in that book. And that's what I love about it.
Yes. And later, so we're going to talk about some Jonathan Hickman work, G.O.D.S, and we're also going to talk about the new Ultimate Universe that he's introducing in Marvel Comics, which again really blurs the lines between good and evil and supervillain and superhero.
Yeah.
There's a theme here. Hickman is so ahead of the fucking curve.
Yeah. He's a genius.
But first,
I think he might be up there as like one of my favorite comic writers of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's like, even though I don't like anything he writes now, Chris Claremont at his prime, I still feel it's just sacred to me. Of how much he wrote in the 80s. Grant Morrison's X-Men is probably one of the most amazing things ever written.
Brian K. Vaughan.
Grant
Morrison's everything.
Brian K. Vaughan. I mean, so much of what he wrote.
You know what? One of these days, I'm going to make you read The Invisibles.
The Invisibles?
Grant Morrison. Grant Morrison's The Invisibles. It's what created me.
It's what created you? What, did your parents read it and then fucked and then she got pregnant?
Yes. And no, they fucked and And then all of a sudden they had a copy of the Invisibles on the floor, and I just emerged out of the Invisibles instead of out of my mom.
When was that written?
I'd say like late 90s.
Okay.
Late 90s, early 2000s. Like, I think...
is it DC?
It ended in the year 2000. It was Vertigo.
Oh, so it's its own thing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, sure.
Oh, God. Oh, the Invisibles. Okay. We should first talk about X-Men, though, right?
Yeah. Hit the music.
I was reading X-Men comics in a cocktail bar. That much is true. Yeah.
X-Men. We only got one X-Men book because they decided to have 100 X-Men books last week.
No, we have one, but we also have a story that's happening in X-Men Unlimited.
Yes, we will cover that story.
It ties into this.
Which is like, this new portrayal of Moira McTaggart is driving me
so you
bonkers.
Have you read the Red Root saga on Marvel Unlimited, the story of Sunfire saving Red Root from Otherworld?
Yes, I read the whole thing.
Okay. Moira is such a mustache twirling villain.
Yeah. It's at this point, I think here's the thing, is the way Hickman wrote it is she was like, you know what? I just realized in the end, the mutants are always going to be the problem, and they're always going to be, and so the solution really is what I did before Mystique set me on fire, was when I was trying to cure them and get rid of them. That's the best way, is to cure them and get rid of them. And that's not an evil mustache twirling villain. Now she's like, and it's not like it just happened here. It was like, even when she like fucking was like killing Banshee and then, you know, being inside of who's Peter Parker's girlfriend?
Mary Jane.
All this stuff where now she's like reveling in their misery. And I'm just like, that was just never her.
I know, but you have to keep in mind that she uploaded her personality into machinery, and that's flawed. Like, I look at it like she uploaded her anger and her rage. She uploaded herself in such a state that now it's that state that is captured.
But you know what? Then let's have a caption or some dialogue or something saying that that's what's happening.
Oh yeah, I made that up in my head to justify this.
Yeah, I want someone to talk about that.
Supervillainy.
Because now she's literally just a cartoony supervillain.
Yeah.
And
you'll never get away, Sunfire.
Yeah.
We'll kill you.
But basically, and then here's also the thing that's stupid. Krakoa's still a thing. And Armor basically brings Sunfire, and she's like, hey, we need to get Red Root back to Mars or Araco. We need to get Red Root back there. Since, you know, and she lost her, who was she battling against in that sword when she
who was that?
The 10 of Swords
in Mad Jaspers. I forget.
She was battling against someone and she lost, and basically Mad Jaspers stole her away, and she shrunk down into like a little thing. And so they're like, let's get her back. So know what I'm gonna do? Know what's a good idea? How about, especially Otherworld, where what happens when you die in Otherworld? You're gone forever, which is also something these writers forgot about, because he kept talking about, I can die, it doesn't matter, I can come back. No, you can't, because you're in Otherworld, bitch.
No, you can't. Right.
You're in Otherworld, bitch. I think they forgot about that little thing.
Wait, didn't they do something to that, though? Didn't they
fix it?
Oh, God.
Did they fix it?
Do I have something in my...
An Excalibur?
Do I have a false memory implant?
Oh, wait a minute. No, maybe...
Did they fix it in Excalibur?
No, well, I guess they did bring Gambit back, right?
Yeah.
But did he come back, or did he not really die?
Well, no, he got like deprogrammed.
Yeah, I don't know if that was fully resolved. Listeners, let us know if you remember, because I don't fully remember that whole. Yeah, I don't fully remember if that got resolved in that Excalibur Knights. What was that one called? Knights of the Realm or something? No.
Knights of X, Excalibur, Betsy Braddock, Captain Britain.
Betsy Braddock, Lickin' Pussy. It was one of those. Hey. One of those. Anyway, so, but Sunfire, that's the other thing I don't understand, is them being like, hey, Sunfire, go find Red Root by yourself. That doesn't really make any sense.
Why not? Storm was like, go do it. You need a mission. He's like, I need a mission. Like,
but you should have someone else in case something goes wrong. They could go back and report.
Oh, he's fine. No, you can't send the team
I thought that was stupid. No. I'm not.
He's fine.
But for me, it's fine for storytelling purposes. But for actual tactical purposes, stupid. It's just me complaining about how...
He would rather be by himself.
Yeah, of course. So he goes off to find Redroot. Jaspers is basically like, oh, I gave her away to someone else, and then stabs one of her splinters in him, and it works as a compass. And then it's like months of him trying to like find this bitch.
Yeah.
And then finally we see Orcus has like a what is it, Blightswill?
Yeah, which I'm like, oh,
a Blightswill factory.
Orcus. Yeah, they're even in Otherworld. I'm like, who are these people?
Yeah, well, that was established in that Excalibur thing, right?
I know, but come on. They're only humans. I can't believe they're in Otherworld.
Yeah. So so it turns out they're using Redroot to like help them with the blights, like
with the Blightswill. She's like the fertilizer.
Yeah, and so
she keeps pooping.
So he goes to save her, and then Moira's there, and it's like evil villainy Moira battling against Sunfire.
Leaping all over the place, cackling.
And
like,
I am curious because I guess I'm trying to think of like when he first joined the X-Men, Moira was very involved, so I'm sure they had tons of interactions.
Tons.
And so I find it very it was just very it was also then she was just like, all right, here you go, and now I'm gonna like leave him alone, bye. And then he like gets out and like,
I mean, it was like one of those vertical scrolling Marvel Unlimited stories, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because it was. And basically he ends up getting stabbed. Redroot jumps into his heart and is using her roots to kind of keep his heart
He's
pumping.
stabbed with Redroot.
Yeah.
She stabs him with Redroot, but Redroot
is that what happened?
Chilling in his heart.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. So she's like in his heart, and then finally, they blow up the factory, and Moira's all like, "Oh gosh, dag it!" And he runs off.
They kill the guy that knew how to make the Blightswill, so that's
so yay for Sunfire. Gone. But he then tries to go home, and we find out in X-Men, he's goes through some portal and meets Apocalypse. So Apocalypse has him now. So that means
and it's from Sunfire's blood that Apocalypse was able to open an Akara gate and show up on Mars like he did at the end of X-Men Red.
And so in the X-Men Red, wasn't there people behind him? Weren't you saying one of them was Richter? Is that really Sunfire and Redroot? Or is that could it
So I saw
Richter?
a preview of this is so odd. I think it's Richter. I saw a preview of X-Men Red, which I think is coming out next week. And it's like the first 4 preview pages. And it's Apocalypse frees Vulcan from where he was imprisoned after fighting with Storm and losing. Like she encased him in that Mysterium. Remember that?
Yeah. But why? Isn't he like not on any of their sides?
Apocalypse is calling together like 4 horsemen in a different way. He actually like to do some spell against Genesis. He's calling together fire, earth, air, and water.
Oh, so he's gonna make them a horse. Oh, so he'll be a horseman, so he'll be loyal to him.
But Sunfire, who by the way was a horseman. Sunfire was Famine for a while.
Yeah.
It's not Sunfire though. In these preview pages, it's Vulcan who represents the fire.
Interesting, and Richter is probably Earth.
The person in the hood is complaining about Vulcan, but it doesn't show you who they are. But I would imagine it's Richter.
Yeah.
Earth, yeah.
Yeah. And
it's got the best line. They're like, so what is Aurora represent in the magic? Is she the air? And Apocalypse goes, no, Aurora is the magic. Which I'm like, can I get a book that's titled that?
Aurora is the magic.
Read a book called Aurora is the Magic. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3.
And then there's
number 79.
There's a bunch of other things happening in this X-Men book. We see there's the whole...
Oh my God, so many.
Dr. Stasis is wanting to do a blood transfusion to get Juggernaut blood so he can become the Juggernaut. Dr. Juggernaut Stasis. And at this point, Firestar's like, fuck, I need to like make sure that doesn't happen. And so she decides to be like, oh, I need to go talk to Cyclops, which you heard in the beginning, to try and convince him to stand trial. And then she's like, oh, and then I'm going to go and kind of like, you know, free Juggernaut at the same time. Which she does. And part of me is like, oh, this is like Nimrod and Moira McTaggart and Dr. Stasis. Are they that dumb that they don't see?
Omega Sentinel.
And Omega Sentinel. But this is what I thought was pretty good writing. Is then the next thing they're like, hey, bitch, you show up and then Juggernaut escapes.
They're like, yeah, what else should we think?
And then she's like, well, what if? But maybe if you looked, you'll see I entered twice. So that means it was Mystique. And they were like, oh, Mystique. And she totally threw them off their scent. I was like, oh, I like that. That was smart.
I like that. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And then I also, that panel of Firestar walking away after having her fake fight with Juggernaut, where she did say to him, throw me down on the floor as hard as you can, which I'm sorry, that fucking hurts.
Yeah.
She had like her arm is in a sling, and she just got through, you know, convincing these 4 villains that, you know, she did not do anything wrong. And then when she walks away, she is wincing in pain and agony.
Yeah.
Like, she cannot take this much longer.
Yeah.
It was a really good panel.
Yeah. But the one thing that I'm interesting that when it cut to Juggernaut goes to the X-Men, he did not, we don't see it. He didn't mention, like, did they all now know? Because Kitty didn't tell anyone that Firestar is a spy. Do they then know? Is it implied now that all of them now know?
Oh, I'm sure they know. Yeah, I would imagine.
Okay.
Like, that would be ridiculous if Sync was like, you traitor, and Juggernaut and Firestar were like, oh my God, we forgot to tell you.
And so it looks like there's some mutants in Latveria. How do you say that? Latveria?
Latveria.
And where is Latveria supposed to be? Is it in like Eastern Europe, or is it supposed to be like near Kazakhstan?
Yeah, I think it's like somewhere between Eastern Europe and Germany. It's very Bavarian.
Okay. Anyway, we also, so basically Kitty goes to Latveria with Ms. Marvel, and she hates Ms. Marvel. And
she just hates her. And we know why, right? Like, when you don't like somebody immediately, you should stop and pause and be like, what am I seeing in this person that I also see in me and don't like about myself?
But I think there is.
That's what's going on.
But I think with this, I think there's a little bit more. I want this fight can come across as problematic with a Jewish person and a Muslim person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hating each other.
Listen, why hide from that?
No, exactly. And I think I would love it if Ms. Marvel is like, what, fucking Islamophobic much? And then Kitty Pryde will be like, wait, what? No, I hate you because you're me.
No, I look at you and I see what I used to be. Like, I look at you and I see like who I was when I came to the mansion, and look at me now.
Yeah, because you know what this story needed with Kitty is she needed Logan to show up. And I fucking love this interaction.
Didn't you love this?
Especially because when she became Shadowcat, who's the person that fucking saved her from that? It was Wolverine. Right. It's called what was it? The Adventures of Wolverine and Kitty Pryde or something? Wasn't that what that was called?
Yeah.
So he's the one that saved her from that. So now him seeing her wearing Ogun's costume, basically embracing the murderous side of this guy that brainwashed her to be an assassin. He's like, I don't like this shit. And she's like, fuck off. I don't give a fuck.
This was so great. When he showed up, I was like, thank fucking God. Because finally Logan is part of this narrative and not on the outskirts ignoring it. Well, he wasn't for the
And the one time when he finally comes to show up to help, it's because it's like, it's not like we need to save mutants. They're like, you need to fucking save Kitty because she's lost.
Yeah.
And who was the one
that sent him?
Yeah, the line
X-23.
here, he's like, Kenny thought you could use a friend. And she goes, I had a lot of friends, Logan. They're all dead. I don't need a therapist. And you're like, fuck.
But I just love that Other Wolverine is the one that sent Other Wolverine.
Yeah.
To deal with this.
And then here shows up in Latveria, Dr. Doom with his little mutants. Have these mutants made an appearance before? I feel like...
Yeah.
Were they there in the one with Franklin Richards? Is that where it was? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I just don't remember specifically if I should care about.
Yeah, these are the Latverian mutants.
Do we care
these are the
about
Latverian
them?
mutants.
Are they going to become main characters?
No, we care about more the relationship between Doctor Doom and Orcus, and the reason it's strained is because Doom is flaunting these mutants in their face, and he's like, I got 5 right here. What are you going to do about it?
Well, it's also very smart sending Kitty there because Kitty also has a relationship with Doom. And in a weird way, this new Kitty, I think Doom is like, yeah, I like this.
And I'm sure Ms. Marvel is able to get through to Doom. she's the type.
Yeah. But I love Immortal X-Men and X-Men are just so great. Love it.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Is that all the X-Men?
But we do... It is. We do miss Jonathan Hickman, though.
We do. And
we do miss his presence in these books. He has, though.
Yes. Because but not in the X-Men, though.
No, so let's hit the other music.
Comics that I have read. There's other comics than the X-Men. But who cares, really?
In the Marvel world, we got a new Marvel book out called G.O.D.S, but it's an acronym.
Yeah, it's been out for a while, but yep.
What's the acronym stand for?
I have no idea.
All right, real quick. We need
good orgies don't... I don't want to say suck, because that's like predictable.
I think it's get old dildos with syphilis. No, I don't know. Yeah, who knows?
Oh, there it is. Yep.
But here's the one thing: are you a Buffy person? Did you watch all of Buffy?
No, I'm not.
You didn't watch any Buffy, so that means you didn't watch Angel.
No.
Do you know who the main the bad guys? The bad guys in Angel were a law firm, and they were ruled by what? The powers that be.
The powers that be.
And so in this G.O.D.S, this main character, he works for something called the powers that be. And so it just gave me a lot of like Angel vibes.
He is the avatar of the powers that be.
I will say for me,
this character Win.
My issue with this book is it's creating something really fun and interesting, but it's now a hard pill for me to swallow that like I now have to pretend that this was always there in the Marvel universe.
That this is happening.
Because that he was a huge power player this whole time. It's a little bit of a hard pill for me to swallow. So I would have just rathered this been. I would have liked to see just a regular world where this is happening and it's him.
Yeah, these characters that are so big have been hiding in the shadows this whole time. But hey, let that go.
Yeah,
otherwise,
that's not what's happening.
Enjoy the story, right? In fact, the first thing they do is integrate these characters into the Marvel Universe proper. In our first page is Win, this new character, the avatar of the powers that be, with Stephen Strange.
And that is a repeat. We've seen this before. This was in that one free comics preview where it like kind of showed everyone.
Yes.
This was like his little preview. And the only other preview, which is weird, was in the Hellfire Gala. But we see this book, and you think this book is really important. And it's really funny where you think this book is like, oh, this book is like what the whole thing is about. No.
Not even close.
Yeah, which is kind of hilarious. And I will say it ends up becoming this, what is this guy's name? I can't.
Win.
He's a very typical, I would say, who is he like? Because it's a guy who's just like, he's an avatar to the gods. He's basically immortal. But at the same time, at this point, he's just been alive for 1,000 years. So he's just kind of like, has this devil-may-care kind of snarky attitude about everything.
He's such a ne'er-do-well. I know. He's just such a moody gallivanter. I don't know how to describe this guy, but he's great. And so he is on one side, of some very big, broad, godlike up there concepts. He is the avatar of the powers that be. On the other side, the adversaries of the powers that be are the natural order of all things.
Yeah.
They don't have an avatar on that side. They've actually got 100 people dressed in white called Centums. And the Centums are pretty much at war with Wynn, although it doesn't start that way. So you've got this adversarial relationship.
Or more. It seems like they're at war
be,
with the powers that be, which then by proxy,
exactly.
Wynn is the enemy.
Who he represents. Yeah, but one of the Centums is bound to be Wynn's assistant because these avatars are ways for these gods who hate each other to work together. Like they won't work together themselves, but they'll work together through these representatives.
So I guess his Centum assistant, did they establish
Dimitri.
like who is the Centum? Did they decide that, or did the power? I still am a little confused.
Oh, like why Dimitri?
Or just like why is one of the
whole
Centums
thing in general
on the enemy side? Who decided that?
Yeah.
How did that happen? I guess it'll be explained. But that's also very interesting. And then one of the other new Centums is his wife. Uh-oh.
Yeah, and she's like the leader of them. She's one of the primes, which I guess is like if you're assigned a prime number.
Yeah.
Maybe. And she's number 97. And he's like, oh, the biggest prime.
But she but basically she was also being lied to. He was not telling her that he was 1,000 years old and was an avatar to the powers that be. And she found out through her job as she was being offered as a Centum. So basically they flash back to 10 years before where she's like, hey, we have to get a divorce because this is the job I want. And you were kind of lying to me. And he's like, but I love you. And she's like, I love you too. But, to show that,
I'm a career gal.
To show which side I'm on, I'm going to fucking shoot you in the head.
So great.
Talk about a bad end to the relationship. And so now he also has a scar on his head, on his eye, from his wife shooting him in the head.
Yeah. So that's 10 years ago. Cut to now, where Wynn is back from being shot through the face. He's still with Dimitri, and they are calling upon Wong and Dr. Strange, who is having a meeting with like Reed Richards and Dr. Doom and Clea, and like I think Black Panther is there, and Amadeus Cho, and a lot of the Centums.
Yeah.
And they're talking about this rogue agent, this all-powerful being who is kind of disrupting. He's killing Centums. He's disrupting the natural order of things. And they have to take him down.
Yeah. When also, it has a weird vibe of like, and I know it's different in so many ways. And tell me if I'm crazy. I don't know why, but it's also giving me like a Constantine.
That's who we're thinking of.
But Constantine
big Constantine
isn't,
vibe.
I guess he is kind of snarky, but it's also, maybe it's the trench coat too, but it's also going off on your own. I like that this is set up of like, oh, every once in a while he's just given these missions by the powers that be to like fix some kind of, and that's the thing that's weird is it's kind of like spell casting, but they're not, and it's not a specific religion. It is not demons and hell. It's not that. It's kind of like, oh, it's just that.
It's bigger than that.
It's bigger than that. And I find that very interesting as someone who is not religious.
I feel like this is generally order versus chaos. Like, I feel like Wynn and the powers that be is chaos. And I feel like the Dimitri and Aiko and the Centum and the natural order of things is order.
Yes. But what do you need? You need both of those things. You need both. They're at war, but they can't beat one of them.
Wynn beats this entity through very chaotic means. Like, he finds a penny on the street. The penny turns out to be from a dead universe. He gives that to the collector. The collector gives him something.
Wait, but pause. But while that's happening, all of the big players and the Centum are just trying to fight him.
They're fighting.
Like, this is the only way to beat him. We need to try and stop him. Blah, 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 blah. And there's like Doctor Strange. It looks like Amadeus Cho is there. Like, everybody's fighting. But he's like, oh, I'm going to go off and do my own little thing. And it seems like he's just like being a douchebag, like, whatever. But he's actually the only one that knows how to really stop him, which is funny.
He's playing each of the elders. He goes to the collector. He goes to the possessor. He goes to the trader. He goes to the contemplator. And he's making trades.
He's trading
up. He gets one thing from one entity, and he keeps trading up until he gets
the book that we see in the beginning.
Yeah, the book that we see.
Now,
which is
do you
nothing
think
but a
him
decoy.
finding that penny, does he have powers? Like, is finding that penny like a power?
I don't know.
Or is that something that the
like
powers that be just guide him? Is he almost like Layla Miller, where it's like, I know stuff?
Yeah, or is he like Domino?
Yeah, where it's like luck. But the thing that I like is Hickman is not like an explainer. You find it out along the way when you need to know, and that is what I like. So I'm not going to complain because I know he's going to explain it all. But basically,
I'm excited about this book.
He
and
has
this new lore,
the book,
this new mythology.
He ends up handing he makes it look like, oh no, I dropped the book. This evil guy picks up the book like, haha, this has the biggest power in the world. And then he reads it, and then he's like, and it turns out that...
Well, he tells...
Yeah, go ahead.
He tells Dimitri, like, this book cannot fall in the wrong hands. And then he drops the book. So Dimitri freaks out. Dimitri's like, oh my God, the book. And that's what makes the entity be like, the book. Oh, this must be important. It's so funny.
And he opens it up, reads it, and it turns out whoever reads this book gets amnesia and forgets everything. And so the guy forgets everything, and then the spell ends, and then he's defeated. With a stomp. Oh, I guess he has some kind of weird stomp thing that he does. Win is like stomps on the bad guy when he beats them at the end. I don't know what that's about either.
Oh, weird.
But I like Dimitri's like, why didn't you tell me? And he's like, no, I did that on purpose so that you would freak out, and then there would be all dramatic. And then that, like, so it's like he's definitely thinking all of these steps ahead. And it kind of ends with him having a conversation about good and evil with Strange, and Strange is like, I am good, evil. And it ends with him being like, who can tell the difference between good and evil? And I think that's where superhero stuff needs to go, is that it's like, it's not you. And with this book and with the other book we're going to talk about him, you do not know necessarily who is the good guy and who is the bad guy in this. You want to say that Win is the good guy because he's the star of the book. I don't know if that's true. There's nothing there that says that that's true.
You know who I think Win could be?
Who?
Like, you see his hair?
Yeah.
Half brown, half white.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the In-Betweener, the Marvel In-Betweener? He's like one of the cosmic gods. Yeah, he represents like the thin line between order and chaos. He's like the membrane between the two.
He's the thing making it all stop from falling apart.
I think so. And like, he's a super important, like, he, big cosmic god, but he's half black, half white, just like Win's hair. I wonder if Win is like the human avatar of the In-Betweener.
Or and all of this Win is related to Rogue.
or that, yeah. But I'm going to guess that like these aren't going to be brand new concepts. I think these characters are going to be connected to kind of those classic Marvel cosmic.
Well, you have
creatures.
to. He can't just ignore them, so they have to play a part.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's talk.
But then there's a whole other universe.
Yeah, let's talk about the
doing.
Ultimate Universe.
Oh my God, the Ultimate Universe is back, and this time it's not Universe 1610. It's Universe 6160.
But it's all starts with someone from the Ultimate Universe. And that is the
almost
Maker.
Almost two, but one of them turned down the invitation of the other.
Yeah, the Maker escapes, and I can't remember if we talked about it, because I remember reading the first issue, and I can't remember if we talked about it here. It's all
we didn't, because I didn't read it.
Ultimate Invasion. And basically, the Maker escapes, and he goes to Ultimate Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and is like, "Hey, let's go to the New World. You don't belong here." And he's like, "No, I'm good. I'm happy here." And he's like, "All right." And the Maker basically goes and steals different objects from all of the Illuminati, and they're like, "Hey, why is he?" They're like, "Oh, he's building a gateway. He's going to try and go back to his world." And they're like, "But why is he using all of our things?" They're like, "Oh, he wants us to know. He has a Krakoan gate. He has something from Wakanda. He has like something from the Inhumans. He wants us to know what he's doing." And basically, he goes and escapes to a new world, and Reed Richards has a good interaction with him where he's like, "I should have erased you from existence. I shouldn't have brought you back here," which is like, pretty fucking harsh, and you like
which I think it affects the Maker's actions against another Reed Richards later.
And so the interesting thing here is, it turns out the Maker didn't try to recreate I think the Ultimate Universe is like, it's gone. I think it was just destroyed. So I don't think he can go back to it.
Yeah.
So he decides to go back to another universe. And at the end of this series, you see this world. What is it? 6160?
Yeah.
You see 6160. You see Peter Parker about to get bit by the spider, and someone grabs it and is like, oh, you almost got bit by a spider. And it is the Maker. So the Maker, and that's how that series ends. And now we start again with the Ultimate Universe kind of starts, and we see that the Maker has decided to just intervene and put every power player out of commission so that he has no competition and he can take over the world and make it the way he feels it should run.
Right.
And so he basically has it so that, he delays the space shuttle that the Fantastic Four were on by a few minutes. So they miss the solar flare. And instead, they all die except for Reed Richards.
Who's horribly disfigured.
Yes. And
wears a Doom
mask. So he is the Dr. Doom. In this world, we also, it is Howard Stark who is Iron Man. And Tony Stark is a teenager. Which I find very interesting. And also he sets it up so that he gets Loki in power and they imprison Thor. So Thor is in prison and out of commission. And he basically is putting everyone out of commission and recreates this world where there's 7 kingdoms and the Hulk rules the Asian kingdom, which that is the only thing that's confusing to me. And I love that Ilyana Rasputin and Pyotr Rasputin rule the Russian kingdom.
Also technically an Asian kingdom.
True. Well, Eurasian. They're on both parts. And it's, but it's 7 kingdoms, but it's all peace. It's all peaceful.
Well, yes.
But everything runs. Nobody's dying. Everyone has free healthcare, all that stuff. But there's always a bad guy. And right now it is the Russians. The Russians are the bad guy. And everybody is working up and trying to go against the Russians to stop them. And it turns out we find out later, Howard Stark is like, I just build the stuff. I'm Iron Man. I don't want to know I don't want to see behind the curtain. I don't want to see the wizard behind the curtain. And he has his Jarvis, who I forget what his name is.
Well, no, it's Obadiah Stane.
Oh, it's Obadiah Stane.
Co-owner of,
Obadiah Stane is the one who's part of that, I guess, Illuminati, you could say.
Yeah, the people that run the world.
The people that run the world. And apparently the people that run the world when, well, I guess here I'm backtracking let me backtrack a bit. The Maker is basically has his own little globe called, what is it called? The state or the city?
Yeah, the city.
And what happens is Kang it looks like Kang from the future comes with all of these clones of the Avengers to kill the Maker. Yep. And he's like, we need to stop you.
Kang trying to kill the Maker.
You're ruining everything. Basically they end up losing, but they do kill Stane. And so Howard Stark has to take over. And so this is them revealing, being like, here is what's going on. And that's what I also love about Hickman is he creates this. Everything leads to, it's not like, let's all just explain how the world works. No, it leads to, because Stane died, Howard now has to take up. And so he's like, okay, how does this world work? And then they explain it. It's just such good storytelling.
Yeah, it's great.
But it turns out that they're like, oh, actually, we take turns being the bad guy. Because it turns out humans have to feel that somebody's evil. And they have to feel that they're the heroes. When we tried to do just complete world peace, it just doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
And the thing is, and then they're like, and now we basically do have peace, and behind the scenes, everything's actually cool, and we're at peace. And Howard Stark is like, this is fucked up. People don't really have freedom. Everything's a lie. We need to have freedom. And this is the point where I was like, wait, I don't know. Wait, is this really bad? Just like,
I know. That's what
I'm just
this
confused.
was the flaw. This was the flaw in this story for me is Howard Stark's reaction. When they were like, yeah, we've orchestrated global peace by pretending one of us is evil, and then all attention is turned onto them, and then we rotate. I was like, sounds great. Howard Stark is like, you fiends. I was like, wait, what?
No, but this is why it is good.
I'm evil too?
No, I'm going to give you the no prize of it. Howard Stark, they rule America. What is America prize over everything else? their freedom, their liberty, the truth. It's capitalism. I think it's all of those crazy American values.
Being the good guy.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the other thing. It was going to be America's turn next.
And that's what they were setting up, where America was going to be the bad guy. Ooh, and it sound familiar. And so I think they do set this up where you are like, oh yeah, it is fucked up to have governments completely lie to you. However,
it is fucked up.
It is fucked up, but also they're lying to you in a way where everybody's at peace and happy and taken care of.
Yeah, if people were not awful, then they wouldn't have to do this. That's my take.
Yeah. And so it's very confusing of like, which is the greater good? But in the end, but here's the thing but the truth where I do think, it's tricky because when you give one person ultimate power, it corrupts. And so it never leads to somewhere good. And I think that's what they're saying is we get to this future with Kang where it's clearly leading somewhere bad. And I also feel it seems pretty obvious, and I don't know who Kang really is. Right?
It's probably Tony, right?
Tony. Because in this final battle where, and in the end, Howard Stark ends up teaming up with Reed Richards. Because Reed Richards is Doom and is basically imprisoned in the city. Because the Maker's like, I want to use your smarts, but I also want to make sure you never betray me or get away from me. But then that doesn't happen. The exact opposite happens. And Reed Richards ends up trapping everybody, all the big power players, like the Maker and Howard Stark in the city with Kang. And there is a part where you see when Tony Stark lifts the mask off of Kang, he just makes a face. And I'm like, that's got to be his son.
Oh, that's gotta and be plus Tony Stark is calling himself Iron Lad.
Until he finds a better name.
And we all know what the Iron Lad Kang connection is.
Exactly. Iron Lad becomes Kang in the Young Avengers. So it all seems pretty obvious, but I love that. And so this also then opens up where now we have Tony Stark as Iron Lad. He's with Dr. Doom, Reed Richards. They free Thor. Thor has...
and Lady Sif.
And then they go and find Captain America, who's still in the ice, to release him.
And that's in the book Ultimate Universe. So the 4-issue Ultimate Invasion set it up. Ultimate Universe is now the beginnings of them remaking this new Ultimate Universe. And so we'll have an Ultimate Spider-Man. It'll be Peter Parker. We'll have an Ultimate X-Men that Peach Momoko is doing.
Which seems to be based around armor.
Oh my gosh.
Fun. I love it. It's great.
It's fun. Well, that's it for comics.
Let's talk about some TV. This is going to be a long one.
Let's do it. All right.
I always feel like I'm watching a comic movie or TV.
Okay, so we got the season finale of Gen V.
Wow. Gen V wrapped up after 8 episodes. And not only did it set up an exciting season 2, but it tied into the flagship show, The Boys.
And here is my one issue is I feel it's setting it up in a way that they're not going to be in the school anymore. And I want to keep that school setting. I don't want to get rid of that.
I know, but here's the other side of that coin. Remember that detention center they set up in episode 1 and then never did anything with again? Oh, wait. Or was that the woods?
Well, there was also where the orphans that are like too powerful get taken away somewhere.
Yeah. That's where I think they are, right?
Yeah, probably. But that's the thing is, well, basically our group of heroes faction off into two sides of like, you're either pro soup or you're pro, like, it's like Xavier versus Magneto.
You're either murderously anti-human.
Yeah, everyone everyone should be able to live together in peace and harmony, or you're soups. So basically, oh my God, what's everybody's name? Now it's Kate.
Oh, here we go. Yes.
Kate and Sam, they take the soup side and they go and release everybody from the woods. The one thing that
the anti-human side.
The one thing that didn't happen, I thought they were going to release somebody with the plague.
Oh, I know. Oh my God.
And just unleash the plague. So
Victoria Newman. Well, what I love about the soup virus that they invented is now we have a weapon against Homelander. I am always looking for a way to kill Homelander. Always.
Yeah. And I think that's what the senator.
So is Victoria Newman.
Yeah, Newman. That's what she is like. Just looking. That's why she wanted that virus.
Yeah. And do you know what this story do you know what this story reminded me of?
What?
This was Riot at Xavier's.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was, except instead of Quentin at the helm, it's Esme.
Yeah. You're right. And basically, they're like telling all the people in the woods to kill all the non-soups. And it's very brutal. And they're just murdering everybody. And then we see the head of Vought. What's her name?
Oh, Ashley.
The one who you're friends with?
The one who I met once and hung out with and a wonderful time. Ashley. She's there on school
and
when it's attacked.
She's there.
Under siege.
And yes, she's under siege. And basically she calls Marie Moreau. They're basically deciding like whoever can save us gets to be in the 7. And basically Marie Moreau is given the chance like if you kill Kate, we'll put you in the 7 immediately. And so there's a lot of different conflicting emotions. Also, Andre finds out that actually they're, him and his dad's powers are killing them. Will slowly
Here's what's so weird.
Them. Yeah.
Here's what's weird about that. Andre's dad was part of the 7 for a long time as Polarity.
Yeah.
Only now, I think, have his powers why
Andre should not have any problems.
Why is Andre affected?
Yeah, that made no sense. It made no sense. He should not have any problems for until 20
now
years.
With the knowledge, every time he uses his powers, he's like, oh.
I know. He's just being dramatic. Why? He's being dramatic.
So dramatic.
Yeah, but anyway, in the end, Marie Moreau is trying to be the good guy.
She's trying to contain the soups that are.
But she's also a bunch of dead bodies. She's like, oh, I got all this free blood going around. But in the end, she sees Kate running up to Jordan, her boyfriend, and before she can touch him, she explodes her arm. Fuck.
That was great. I was so scared when Kate reached out for Jordan. Yeah. I was so afraid they were going to be put under her thrall, and then to watch Marie. I
audibly gasped when she blew up her arm.
Me too.
That fucked me up.
Me too.
But then Homelander comes, and it's like, oh, great, Homelander's here to save the day.
No, not great.
No. He's like, why are you betraying your kind? And he shoots Marie Moreau. And then we cut to the news, and it looks like Kate and Sam are being the new heroes, because it's actually Homelander that runs Vought now. He is in charge of everything.
Mm-hmm. They're being heralded as the new Guardians of Godalkin instead of Marie and Andre.
And
Marie
now,
and Andre and Emma wake up.
And Andre and Jordan. They're
yep.
just in a facility with no doors.
Yeah.
And they don't know where they are.
And all the bad guys took over.
And I think, so this is leading to season 4 of The Boys.
Yes.
Season 4 of The Boys, which then will lead into Gen V season 2. I'm assuming this. I hope this gets renewed. It was great.
I think it did.
It was great.
It's so great. It's so wonderful. Just to see it was. I cannot stress enough. It was right at Xavier's, and it was just so great to see that come to life. But all the X-Men stuff aside, these are great characters. It's great writing. It's just great plot. It's so good. And plus, some of the boys are just really attractive.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Anyway, I love it. I can't wait for the boys.
Well, we need to get that set. They have stopped production because of SAG. Still has not come to a conclusion. So once that happens, they can start the production back up. It should have been released the end of this year. And now it's just indefinitely delayed. We also have... go ahead. But
I was going to say Blade was supposed to come out 2 days ago.
Oh, shit. Have you heard about that?
Yeah. No.
In that article? Was it in that article?
God, no.
They originally...
Oh, yeah.
They wrote it where Blade was not the star.
Right.
And then Mahershala Walker was like, I'm not going to be in this then.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, we're just going to trash it and rewrite it. It's like the waste of money that they're and
just the poor decision making.
Yeah.
Ay. These people, like, they get an idea in their head and they're like, that's great. And then they run with it. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing?
I think sometimes people are like, oh, wouldn't it be a great twist if it like wasn't starring Blade? Oh. And you're like, no.
No. It would be stupid.
We also
it would be stupid.
We also have Loki.
We have Loki episode 5, which we were all dying to see what happened after the whole timeline blew up in episode 4.
And apparently it did blow up, but everybody vanished. As we later saw, they vanished to their variant timelines. But Loki, who's kind of tethered to the TVA, was still there. But he starts time slipping. But he's time slipping again. And he basically finds his way. He's first time slipping, but then the TVA just completely vanishes in the little stringy. It was dust. They're like, we can't do dust, so spaghetti.
Yeah, that's the snap. Yeah, being unstuck through time is the spaghetti. So what happened? He's not only time slipping, he's dimension hopping, and he's going to each branch timeline where his former friends have been returned to their old lives, and he's trying to get the band back together. And he finally meets up with Sylvie. He succeeds. He finally meets up with Sylvie, and Sylvie's like, "Why are you doing this?" He's like, "Because I want the TVA back." You do? Like, why? Like, why are you really doing this? He's like, "I want my friends back." And she stops him there. I mean, I think really, if you get down to it, he just wants her back. But and here's my gripe. He brings his friends together, and it's just all for naught. Like, they all wind up, they don't really do any, they don't accomplish anything. They just all wind up getting unstuck out of time and being turned into spaghetti. And then he returns back to the original. So he learns to control his time slipping because he was enraged when he watched Sylvie unravel and get unstuck in time.
Yeah, but it turns out that you do need the TVA, or basically all of the universe is going to collapse and spaghetti out.
So all the branches are dying. Yeah, which again, I don't understand why they are, but okay, I'll go with it.
Yeah, and it brings him,
and we have one episode left.
Yeah, and so it brings him back right before they're about to try and
so he winds up where he was like right before it happened, which I'm like, okay,
which I feel it just has to switch. I think it's just going to switch where it can't be Kang that's doing it, or Victor, or whatever his name is in that. It has to be Loki to do it.
It'll have to be Loki or something. I think like part of me, I have to remember that this is the Loki that just fought the Avengers. Yeah. And then things make more sense.
Yeah.
To me. But like, there's a lot of like, don't you see, Loki just had to realize he loves Sylvie. And I'm like, okay, he had to do that last time.
Yeah.
He had to do that last season.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But
it feels like we're rehashing old territory.
Ke Huy Quan is still amazing in it.
He's still amazing. He's so good.
I also like that Casey,
whole show together.
I like that Casey was actually like a criminal in his other life.
Not only that, he escaped Alcatraz, which is like, there's only been 1 or 2 times that's happened.
Yeah.
I think I saw an article that said there is a true crime, like an actual story that's tied to Casey's adventure. Like they were referencing an actual story.
In Marvel or in real life?
No, in real life.
Oh, okay. Should we talk real quick about Invincible?
Sure. Yeah, Invincible premiered season 2.
Did you watch all of the last season, or did you stop?
Yeah, I did.
Did you not like
it?
No,
I watched.
I watched. You weren't crazy about it.
I don't know why the ultraviolence rubs me the wrong way with this show, but I really don't like, I love The Boys. Homelander, he's such a good villain. Anthony Starr is amazing, but it's the same reason I never watched Blackburn. It's the same reason I don't really enjoy Invincible. I hate the evil Superman trope. I just don't like it. I don't like what if Superman was bad and like nobody could do anything about it and everything is violent and horrible all the time. I just don't dig that.
But they've moved on from that.
Yeah.
And I guess for me, it gets the one thing for me is it's literally just so faithful to the comic that I
which I never read.
Very confident about, because I know, like, you're saying all those things, but it's like I know where it's leading. So I'm like, but it gets resolved in a really smart and cool way.
That's great.
But I also watched the Adam. Did you watch the Adam Eve special?
Yes.
Before that?
What a fight. That's one of the best like animated superhero fights I've ever seen. Her versus those like 4 guys.
Yeah, that was fun, kind of just showing her powers. And basically this is setting up, and I don't know how much, because in the comic I feel like I'm just curious of, like, in the comic they have multiple plots going on at the same time. So this Angstrom Levy is a character is introduced who he has the power to go to different dimensions. And he's
he's Nathaniel Richards. He's Kang.
Yes, but he's the only one. Yeah, he's the Kang of the Kang comparison. But he's the only one who can do that of all of the other versions of himself. And he basically collects all of the other versions of himself in one place, and then tries to get the two genius blue twins, which I forget their names.
The Maulers.
Manglers. To, like, he's like, I want all of their memories, like, shoved into mine, so I can control and know every dimension and know.
So I can have full multiversal knowledge and like take the best things, like the new inventions from other dimensions that we've never even seen before, bring them here.
Yeah.
Undiscovered Shakespeare's on other dimensions, bring them here.
And
kind of cool.
Yeah. And then meanwhile, Stephen Yeun, Invincible, and his mom, they're still kind of reeling from, like, oh, the whole my dad is evil and tried to destroy the world. And it's all a lie. And then the other thing that's interesting, because of Angstrom Levy, the one thing that you learn is that this is one of the very few worlds where Invincible does not take his dad's side.
That's right. And episode 1, season 2 opens showing us a world where Invincible does take his dad's side. And it was just so sadistic and horrible.
Yeah. And in this world, in the main world, this one, he doesn't. And he just wants to, like, make amends and be a superhero. But the government and the main guy, and it's like, I'm sorry, I should have. Cecil. God damn it. I have all the actors.
That's what I'm for.
I have in front of me all of the actors, but it's not their
It's Walter Goggins.
But it's not their cartoon faces. So it's not helping me. Walter Goggins?
I'm here. I got you.
Who's Walter Goggins?
Oh, he's like the bad guy from Ant-Man.
Oh, him. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Anyway, Cecil is like, I can't trust him because his dad did that to me. So I don't know if I want to put him back in the commission. He finally does. I don't know. It's like just setting up kind of a new bad guy with this, like, Kang version. And
yeah. He feels like the leader from Hulk. He's just like, his brain is gigantic.
And it's a weird watch for me. I just am like, it's just literally just like the comic. It's literally
just like watching the comic come to life.
And so I like it. And it's hard for me.
I'm definitely going to watch it.
It's hard for me to judge it because I know, like, even when it opened and he was bad, and I was watching it with someone else, and they're just like, "Wait, I thought," and I'm just like, "No, this is another universe." Like, I already, like, I'm watching it just like like knowing everything that happened, so I am having a different experience watching it.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
So they even did that in the comics. They did that, like, quick depiction of a darker universe.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's how that character was introduced. I mean, I think because Seth Rogen is, like, I think he's the main, like, this is like his baby. And I think Seth Rogen, I can just imagine him being in the world being like, oh, just do the comic. Like, just.
Exactly.
Just do the comic. It's all there.
Just do the comic.
Yeah. And honestly, I respect that.
Love that.
I respect that. The only thing that's different is his gay friend comes out way later, and they had him come out sooner. And I'm, like, fine with that.
It's better.
Yeah, he doesn't come out until he's, like, an adult. He's like, I was gay this whole time and I was in love with you. And instead they're like, no, just make him a gay character the whole time. And have Andrew Reynolds be his voice of him.
Oh, Andrew Reynolds, that sweet face.
But yeah, it's fun. Lots of superhero stuff and fun superhero stuff.
Lots of stuff. Lots of good content. Yes.
And next week is the finale of Doom Patrol, which we will cover.
Oh my God, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yes.
The Butt-pocalypse.
Yes. I was talking to someone. I was at a gay bar last night, and I was talking to someone, and they were like, I said something about, I can't remember what, and they were just like, yeah, like a hot guy like in the Titans. And I was like, wait, you watch Titans? Because it's a very rare thing to find someone in a gay bar that like watched Titans. And he's like, yeah, the guys were so hot. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, oh, so you love Doom Patrol?
Kindred spirit.
And I was like, oh, so you love Doom Patrol? And he was like, ew.
He's like,
and I was like, wait, what? And he was like, no, Doom Patrol. Like, I love Titans. And then I watched Doom Patrol and I was like, oh, this is weird. And I like stopped watching it. And then I was like, no.
Oh, so close.
Oh, well.
So close. Can't wait to cover the end of Doom Patrol. Can't wait to cover the rest of Fall of X. Can't wait to keep talking about, Loki season finale is coming next week as well.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we have a lot. And we'll talk about it.
Stay tuned. And yes, we will. We will.
Yeah, watch superhero TV shows because it's great right now. But there is a disclaimer and just don't be freaked out when I say this, Brett. If you watch superhero TV shows or read superhero comics, well, then that makes you queer.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.